Hi, and welcome back to the HSP Connection with me, Philippa Robinson.
And me, Robbie Lee. This is where we share our stories, insights, and strategies to help fellow highly sensitive people navigate their own path to living a fulfilling and meaningful life.
We're on a mission to reclaim the word sensitive and help the world see the strength in sensitivity. So, Robbie, what are we talking about today?
Philippa, as you know, we've been doing kind of this healing series. And as you and I were kind of chatting today, we realized one of the messages we would love for people to hear is permission for themselves to kind of meet themselves where they are. Because these healing journeys that I shared, like kind of a really big traumatic one that I've been on. You've had one that just knocked you over and changed your whole life. These journeys can be big like that and can cause some people to be like, I don't want anything to do with that. I don't have time for that, which you and I both completely relate to that
Yeah,
sentiment. And we also were like, oh, and healing doesn't have to be so traumatic either. And kind of, we wanted to kind of talk through that a little bit and, you know, yeah, give people the space to be wherever they are and that's okay.
yeah, exactly. Because I think a lot of our guests as well have talked about big transitions and big things that have happened in their life to bring them to where they are at. And maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's something in all of us, that we've had these big things happen and we feel drawn to talk about them. Actually, maybe that's what something that we all have in common. But also, it doesn't have to look like that. It doesn't have to. I mean, I suppose we've had the journeys we've had, so that's our own experience. And yes, we can listen to other people's experience, but really, we're all going to have our own individual experience of how it starts, how it progresses, and how it continues. Because I'm pretty sure it never actually ends. Because once you get into this, a lot of us have got quite a lot of things to work on. So it just continues, doesn't it?
That's definitely been my experience. I mean, I've shared openly. I'm still very much in the middle of a lot of this for me. And um, I I was just remembering before I crashed, like before I crashed and my whole world kind of came to an end, I had been thinking like I was aware something was going on and I should probably address it, but my go-to thought at the time was I don't have the time, I don't have the energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be people listening to this nodding and going, yeah, I don't have time. I don't have time to this. I remember when I was in therapy, my therapist used to say things. She used to say to me, not every session, but quite often, because I was there for 3 years. So there was quite a lot of opportunities for us. She used to say, well, what would it be like for you to have a breakdown? What would it be like for you to just stop? And I just could not comprehend. I just said, I can't do that. I cannot do that. So we did go slow and steady so that, life as I knew it did not just blow up in my face. I had a job. More importantly, I had 2 small children. And I suppose, I mean, that was the start of my healing journey, but also, yeah, it's only as I'm talking about, I'm thinking about what I'm going to say, and then I'm like, oh, therapy seemed very much the start of looking at the past, and that the journey carried on then after that, and the most transformative stuff has happened since, actually, outside therapy, interestingly enough. But I really understand that I don't have time. I can't do this. It's scary. What's it going to be like? I don't know what this is, so I don't have any clarity or any certainty. All of those things that can come up. And I'm pretty sure it was a melting pot of all those that kept me very much in denial up until the day that I couldn't put it off any longer.
Yes. Yes. I can so relate to that. And add to it, like, okay, maybe I do know that I want some healing help, but where do I even start? Like, what modality? And then how do I find the people? And then can I afford it? And it just seems like energy that's that I didn't have available to me, to even explore.
Yeah. And also for me, what was going on was very much, well, I can't spend that time, that money on me.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, we hear that a lot, don't we? It's selfish to take time to do the work that's needed. Navel gazing is another one that sort of like, it's just what's the word? Self-indulgent. And I'm not sure I'd actually heard those words directed at any of the modalities directly. But it was very much something that I had in the back of my mind. And it definitely seemed like it wasn't going to be something for me, despite the constant running around my head of the words, there must be more to life than this. But I wasn't prepared to go and look for it. I just didn't think it was going to be for me.
Yeah. I don't think your experience is unique to you. I mean, your experience is, but I think a lot of people can really relate to what you're talking about, is what I'm trying to say. Absolutely. Especially that feeling, that statement you made about not being able to spend the time and the money on you. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had to hit rock bottom before I believed that the only thing that was going to save my life, as it was, as in being married and in a family unit with my husband and my children, I thought the only thing that was going to keep us together was me going to therapy. So I decided to do that, but it had to hit rock bottom before I would do that.
Yeah.
And that was me losing the sight in my eye and just it all coming crumbling down.
Yeah. And like you said at the beginning, that is how a lot of the people that we've been talking to, it's kind of how they came to their modality, is because something really big happened.
Yes.
And that is true for a lot of us. Absolutely. So I don't want to deny that. It's fair. It happened to you and I, it happened to others.
Yeah.
And I think we also wanted to make space for, and healing doesn't have to be that way for people. There are, I'm saying that and I go, I think that's right. I mean,
it's what happened to us, so we can't go back and change that.
We can't. Yeah.
But one of the reasons why we wanted to do this theme, of healing, was to talk to all these wonderful people and also to tell a bit more of our story in the hope, I think, why are we doing all this? I mean, and actually I think probably my reason for wanting to do that is probably very similar to yours, is that if we can talk about it and, anybody who's listening is just getting some bits of information from what we're talking about, that either when they need it, that information's in there and they go, maybe I could try this or try that. Or in an ideal world, they start doing little things for themselves now and start that healing, and we're going to come on to some things that you can start to do now without your whole world coming crashing down, without them being expensive, without them being massively time consuming, and things that you can do pretty much by yourself if that is how you want to start.
Yeah.
Because I wonder, I mean, I'll never know, I do wonder if I'd come across somebody talking about this back in the day, back in 2016, whether I would have taken notice. And you know, I don't know, because I can't go back. But you know, that's what we really want to do, as well as bring information to people who are really in the thick of it and really need some help and want to know more.
100%. And so that people have the sense of you know, they're not alone. It's like the whole Me Too.
Exactly.
It's very affirming, right? It's just like, so yeah, I agree with everything you said.
Thank you. And actually, before we just go on to these things, the other thing I keep forgetting, it keeps popping into my head and I keep forgetting, is that also when I did end up on my healing journey, which began with therapy, I did not know. Not only did I didn't know how much my past was still very much with me in my present and was really driving my behavior. So I didn't understand that. And I also didn't know that I could heal. I did not know that that was a thing.
Wow. Yeah.
So, you know, anybody listening takes nothing more from this episode is that you can heal. You absolutely can heal if you want to.
Yes. That's big. That gave me chill bumps. And I'm thinking of Philippa back then. I have so much empathy for you, not only for what you were going through, but then it's just like you're there doing it, not even knowing you could heal. I mean, it's one thing to like put the work in to be like, okay, there's going to be a light at the end of this tunnel, but to be starting it going, I don't even know what.
I had no idea what my therapy was going to be like. No idea. I just knew I had to do something. So it felt like at least I was doing something.
Yeah. Oh. And now look at you. Like that's led to this thing and that thing and this, like all these steps, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, ultimately to me sitting here recording this with you today and, you know, like you know, it's still, there are still lessons to learn. There are, you know, still things happening. I'm like, oh, dang, here we go again. This thing again, you know, because, you know, the universe will keep putting the same lesson in front of us to help us heal. And that, you know, that is what's happening. Like I said in a previous episode, I'm still learning that not everything is my responsibility. And that's definitely my childhood survival pattern playing out, that trying to control my environment all the time because I felt so unsafe. Whereas as an adult, I am largely safe. I don't have to control everything around me. Nobody wants me to do it. Nobody's asking me to do it. It's me taking on that for some, well, I know why. And I don't have to do that. So that's currently my big healing piece of work is to learn to not take that on and to be very kind to myself when I find myself doing that.
Yes to the kindness. Yes. So important.
Yeah, and I suppose that takes us into perhaps the first thing to talk about what can our lovely listeners do if they want to take some steps on their, or a first step on their healing path. I would say practicing self-kindness is a really big and important one.
It's vital.
Yeah,
it's really vital. I feel like that practice has changed my life maybe more than anything else. I mean, it's hard to say because they're all intertwined, certainly. But that one's so big. And it because it starts rewiring our brain and how we think about ourselves and how, I mean, think about, generally speaking, I'm going to make a very generalized statement. The HSPs I've come across are some of the kindest, most thoughtful, generous people. And think about if they're able to take that kindness and direct it toward themselves. Yeah. And that is really how I started. I thought about, okay, well, if I was talking to a friend, what would I say to my friend right now? Because I wouldn't be saying you're a total fuck up like I'm saying to myself, like that's how it started for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Be your own best friend.
Be your own best friend. Yes.
Yeah. And catch those critical words, catch yourself when you're being unkind in your head. I mean, let alone out loud. I mean, the number of times I have a friend who will say not very pleasant things about themselves, not like really horrible, but there'll be subtle put downs like nearly every other sentence. And I asked her if it was okay, and she said yes, for me to point these out to her. And I can see that change is happening slowly. Or she'll say things and then catch herself and not, and I just know how important that was for me to catch those, what I would call trash talk to myself, and turn it into something much kinder.
Yes. Yeah, because we're not any, sorry, go ahead.
No, please go.
Just gonna say, we're not any less deserving of that kindness that we tend to, give to others. Like, we're very deserving of that. Everyone is.
Yeah.
In a big blanket statement, but certainly we deserve to be kind to ourselves. I mean, we're really, at the end of the day, all we've got. I mean, we talk about connection now, we need people, and all of that is also true. And we're here in our own, I'm making gestures to my body, my space, like I'm here in here all by myself. And if what I'm hearing most of the time is this horrible, awful stuff, ooh, I mean, that's a rough place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, we're the only person, as the saying goes, we're the only person we're going to be with for the rest of our life.
Yes. Yes.
Or we are going to be with ourselves for the rest of our life. So actually, why not be nice to ourselves rather than, we all learn that critical voice and that not being very nice to ourselves. We all learn it in different ways from different people at different stages of our lives. But I don't think, I mean, maybe there are some people who don't get that, but I think they're few and far between. I think we all have that to some degree.
Yeah.
So catch yourself when you're doing it and really be kind to yourself about the trash talk.
Yes.
And then say nice things to yourself.
Yes.
Be kind to yourself.
Yes. And part of that beginning practice for me, because it can be hard to start. If you're used to not saying nice things about yourself, it'd be hard to try to find a nice thing. Yes. But I made a commitment to myself to not lie to myself. So I had to mean it when I said something. And so if all I could say was something not too deep, but I believed it, I would grab onto that. So instead of saying something like you're spectacular, if I wasn't believing that, I'd be like, okay, well, we're not lying to ourselves, but I would say, well, I kind of like what your hair's doing today. That's looking nice. Be like, okay. Or it could be, I noticed that you were really kind to so-and-so today. And that's cool. Like, okay, yeah. But I had to believe it.
I really like that. Keep it real. Keep it real and believe it. And yes, so we're not talking like some sort of toxic positivity here where we have to reframe everything and make it super shiny and dazzly and lovely. We are literally, please stop the trash talk, which, for me was always a flavor of, oh God, look what you've done again, or you're rubbish, you can't do that, or everyone's going to find out what you really like, or any of those number of things. Nobody loves you, you're not lovable, all those variations on a theme that ultimately come down to that. And I suppose really, even if you can't say something nice, just try and stop the trash talk and actually go, no, we're not going to do, I'm not going to do that anymore.
That's right. That's actually right. That's even a beginning step than what I was saying. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've only just thought of that. So but just trying to stop that and go, no, I'm not going to talk to myself like that anymore.
Yes.
I at least deserve to not hear bad things about myself.
From myself.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
It's good. That's really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you can move on to so can you find something positive to say, but all the while being compassionate and kind.
Yes.
Because it's really important to be kind about the tendency to say unkind things, because that has come from somewhere. That is something that you've experienced that has led you to that behavior. So just be really, oh, it's okay. It's okay that you're saying that, I understand. Not that it's okay just, oh, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to do that. I am not going to talk to myself anymore like that. That just feels really good saying it out loud, right? Actually. Yeah.
And this is one of those, we're not going for perfection, but just progress. So, because that's what my brain then would latch on to. Well, you're fucking up at that, aren't you? And so one of the things I started saying was, I didn't do it perfectly, but I really tried hard, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of my effort. And I would just looking for every little thing. And then you start, when we're talking about like, it changes your brain, and then you start looking for those positive things instead of grabbing onto the negative things, which is what we've been trained to do.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So it's a slow grind, and it's okay to be like, oh shoot, I wasn't going to say that to myself. Okay, but I just noticed it now and I'm stopping it. Like that can be your positive thing, right? Okay, I stopped it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's progress,
Yeah, it is. I'm thinking back, I can't remember where I started with all that. But I definitely, and I perhaps didn't start with reframe with really taking notice of those things. But I do remember getting to a stage of I used to say to myself all the time, I am safe and I am looked after. And that's what I needed to hear. And that was definitely along the way. But I used to repeat that. I used to put my hand on my heart and say, I'm safe and I am looked after, because those things are what I could feel inside, when I could feel it all sort of gurgling around inside and just, oh God, what is this? And how am I going to do all this? So I was definitely somewhere along my journey, but I just used to say, it's okay, I'm safe. No matter what, I'm safe and it's okay. That at the time was really powerful for me.
It is so powerful. I mean, still to this day, saying that to myself, it's just like, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's what our system wants to know all the time. Are we safe? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Are we responding to something life-threatening, or are we all right?
Exactly, because that's how I came to healing, via the work I did around my childhood trauma. And I learned then, like a lot of us HSPs, whether you've experienced considerable trauma or not, just by the fact that we're HSPs and we have heightened reactions to sensory stimuli, we are on a heightened, our nervous system is on high alert anyway. So I came at all of my healing from a nervous system regulation sort of route. That's where I came into it all. And I did things that I could to regulate and calm my nervous system, which put me in a really good place for trauma healing and getting to know my HSP self and putting me in a good place moving forward. So anything that you can do to regulate your nervous system is going to really help. And one of the first things I did after understanding that I had been on high alert for a long time, by the time, I was 47 when I'd been on high alert for a long time. So one of the first things I did temporarily, I didn't necessarily intend it to be forever, but I cut out caffeine and I cut out alcohol, because those were the two stimulants that I could easily do without. And I thought, well, if I'm doing all this work to try and regulate my nervous system, I don't want to be putting stimulants into my body. So I mean, I'll never know what the journey was like if I hadn't done that, but it felt like the right thing to do.
Something you said is really highlighting something that's been floating around in my head when you said, like, it felt like the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. This is, I think, key. One of the big keys to the journey is trusting your own knowing. Like, if something is feeling right or isn't feeling right, even if the whole world is like, you should do X, it'll change it'll change everything for you. But you're not having that experience. Your experience is real and valid, and please trust that.
Yes.
Right. It's like, because we are all different, and we are, like you talked with Amy about in the breathwork episode, like we're whole systems, right? But we haven't been trained to look at that as a whole. And so there could be something in your system reacting differently than all the people around you. Then that is real and valid. And please just do what you can to honor your system. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's. Your journey is unique to you.
Absolutely. couldn't agree more. And we're just talking about things that we know about or that have helped us. And you will know, listening, whether anything that we say is meaningful to you or is you're getting an intuitive sort of like reaction to it, that it might be useful for you. And also, I mean, I learned stuff I avidly listened to podcasts, I read books, I read articles, and I just started piecing things together.
Yeah.
And that's how I came to all the things that I tried, just by being curious and working out which ones seemed meaningful to me.
Yeah.
Hi, if you're enjoying listening to this podcast, have you thought about joining our HSP Connection community for more connection with other HSPs? Because really, us HSPs thrive in the community of others.
Absolutely. And Philippa and I have created this space on an online platform where we can connect with each other deeply. We're going to have these awesome conversations, and we would love to get to know you over there in that space.
We would. So if you're interested and want to join straight away, there's a link in the show notes. And if you'd like to have a chat with either of us beforehand, please reach out. Now, back to the episode.
Caffeine and alcohol. I rarely have either one of those either for myself. It's, but I think it's just so important to listen to ourselves. And I think our system will tell us what it wants us to focus on, if we can listen.
Yeah.
Sometimes the listening is hard, but when you were talking about, you started from a place of being able to, of learning how to regulate your nervous system. I mean, that's something that has come way down the journey for me and is proving to be so helpful. What other things did you and have you done to kind of help with your nervous system that you think are fairly accessible for folks?
Well, one big thing that I did was breathing, which is hilarious because, I thought, I've got breathing. I mean, I've been alive all these years.
Yeah,
I've got breathing, haven't I? But the more, and breathing and breath work just kept, I don't know, I'd tune into podcasts that seemingly had nothing to do with breathing, and somebody would start talking about it, and it would be here and it would be there, and I'm like, gosh, what is this? Because those of us who have, especially when our nervous system is activated and we're in, we're having a reaction to something, or just generally we are on very high alert, we tend to be really shallow breathers, and we will be breathing in, our chest and not taking in big, deep breaths. And I was like, what is this? And then the more I tried it, I was like, oh yeah, I can't do that big breath. And I still find today that when I do a little bit of yoga, I mean, I don't do a lot of yoga and actually I heard the other day that a whole hour of yoga is quite a lot for an HSP, because it's a lot of information. I was like, oh yeah, that's great. That's why I don't like a whole hour of yoga. Anyway, yes. I digress.
But listening to your body. Yes.
Exactly. Yes. But, most yoga sessions, even a 10-minute one you often start with 3 deep breaths, and it takes those 3 deep breaths for me to gradually just be able to breathe a little bit further down into my belly, so that I can do a whole big diaphragmatic breath down into my belly. So my belly is sticking out on the in-breath, and then your belly comes in as the breath comes back out. And, doing that, I mean, there are so many health benefits that I'm learning about to that, because that is really letting your body work the way it is designed to, because you're getting more oxygen. And it's all, I mean, I'm not even going to get into, because this is not my area of expertise, but it's definitely doing what it needs to, and it's getting the right things to the right places in your body. But learning to breathe. So I think a lot of people start breathing with box breathing, in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. And that's a good start, because it's just helping us control our breathing. But then trying to do the really big breaths in and elongating your breath out, because if you can do a longer breath out than you're breathing in, that's giving your body all the signals that you're safe.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, because usually when we're not feeling safe and we're having a fight, flight, freeze response, our breath will quicken, and that's the signal to the body that you're not safe, which is why shallow, quick breathing in our chests keeps us in, in a trauma response, really. So breathing was really important. And
so good.
I think with all these things, like, cutting out stimulants, learning to breathe, finding ways of getting in your body, I think that what some people don't like about it is you can't see tangible results. It's because it's a feeling. It's I don't know. I just think I feel a bit calmer, or maybe I can tell that my breathing is not quite so fast, or my heart rate has gone down a little bit, or I just don't feel quite so, I don't know, panicked, I'd say. But what other, I just, oh yeah, and cold water does that for me as well. Just makes me feel very calm. Because that's not really a state I was that used to until I started all this. So yeah, breathing, very long.
Yeah.
And that's why cold water swimming is so good, because you have to control your breathing. Because the minute you hit that cold water, it makes you, and you have to learn to control it. That's what keeps you in the water, and you have to learn to control it. And breathing is really important in a lot of things I do, actually. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah. I'm just now, learning some techniques, and I mean, I think in a previous life, I sang in a choir, And so, we learned diaphragmatic breathing for that reason. So I had some knowledge of how breathing into my diaphragm felt good. And so I think intuitively, I've been able to breathe down there sometimes and calm myself down. But learning these techniques on purpose and understanding how the breath works and the things it can do, it's really quite astounding. And I think what I love about breath is it doesn't require any equipment. I mean, it's literally a thing that we do anyway to survive. It's just tweaking it maybe to, the method we're used to is tweaking that a little bit and understanding how it can help our bodies. Oh, it's really cool, I think.
I completely agree with you. And I
it
think
feels, sorry. Go ahead.
It feels
powerful because
it's
like, this is something I can do for my body just by sitting here. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I love that. I agree with you. It does make you feel powerful, I think. And especially when we have felt so powerless at times.
Yes.
Over what is happening to us. I think that's really important from many aspects, really.
Yeah. I do want to highlight something that Amy said in case people didn't catch her episode, but if you do breath work, because there's lots of different things out there, especially for HSPs and folks that have experienced trauma, like the stuff where you're hyperventilating and stuff that's not going to calm your system down.
Yeah.
So you want to, please choose practitioners that know that and and work with calming your system down, because that's what we're here talking about, trying to calm that nervous system.
And there might be a place for the other sort of breath work later down the line, because a lot of people actually find that is quite a good way to release stuff. But really what we're talking about right at the beginning is calming your nervous system, and and literally you don't need a class for that. You don't need to go to any breathwork practitioner. You can literally just learn to breathe deeply. If you can get to a place where you're inhaling through your nose for say 7 beats, and you're exhaling slowly through your nose for 11, right? I don't know why I picked 7 and 11, odd numbers and all that, but you are doing really well if you can do that. And it takes me a few breaths to get into that rhythm, and then I can do it. I mean, even if you just breathe in for 4 and out for 6, you're doing really well, and you can build up to more. But you can absolutely do that by yourself. You can get these breathing apps as well that you can put on top. You breathe in and out with the sounds. They're quite good. So and I think you can get some of those for free, but you can do all of that completely free by yourself. And I personally think that's a really good place to start.
Absolutely. And just please keep listening to your system, because if if the breathing app is telling you to do something, but you're feeling your system hype up for some reason, even if it doesn't make logical sense, please listen to your system. Like, just listen to you, Yeah. I mean, one thing we go back to all the time with kind of calming down nervous systems is nature. I'm going to throw that into the mix. I mean, depending on where you are in life and where you are living and all of that, getting to nature can be hard, and it can be easy. I don't know. But I think I wanted to throw that out there, because something like putting your hands in the dirt, even science has proven, helps us feel like it calms down our system. Letting your bare feet touch the earth. So if you're able to do that for yourself, that's free,
or go and sit with your back against a tree.
My favorite. Yes.
Yeah. Or, hug a tree by all means. I was out the other day and I saw somebody who ran up to their favorite tree and gave it a hug. And I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. Or I think, I think it was their favorite tree. They certainly looked very pleased to see it. Or just put your hand on a tree, or go out into nature and notice, like spend time noticing the colors, the shapes, the smells of what you're seeing. So intentionally go out to notice what you're seeing. I've had to really make myself do that when I'm out on my dog walks, because I can be very like, right, let's just get on with it. Let's just do it. Then, off we go. There's no gentle stroll, but I really wanted to pull that back and make it more of a gentle stroll, because that is much better for my nervous system. And I very much still need that. I'm sure I'm going to need that forever. To keep my nervous system in a well-regulated state.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah. It's part of the toolkit for me.
Yeah. So what else have you got any other things that you can suggest?
I was thinking about there's so many different ways into healing. Like I was thinking about guided meditation can feel, really lovely. Like it just for me, it feels like, oh, I just floated and took some of the weight off something, I had one and then it just ran out of my head.
I've heard a lot of people say as well that, especially when you're starting off, guided meditations are a really good way to start, because it's easier to focus on somebody else talking than it is for it to just be silent. And I think a lot of people, I mean, I'm not big on meditation. I have done some of it in the past. I'm better with visualizations because I'm doing something. I find my meditative state comes more around water, so I will get into more of that open-minded, noiseless state, if that makes sense. Either in the shower or when I'm cold water swimming, even though I'm there with my friend and we're often chatting, I just find that getting in the water just makes me go in. It just makes me go in, and I'm experiencing everything that's going on in my body. Anyway, so what all I'm trying to say is, with meditation, and I think a lot of people say meditation's not for me, I can't do it, it's too hard, it's boring, all of those things, then maybe there are other ways for you to do that. Maybe guided meditation. I think a lot of people swear by yoga nidra as well, don't they? That's really, I mean, it's not yoga as we know it, but it's very calming, and you can listen to what's being said and what's going on, which gives you a focus.
100%. And when you were talking about being on the walk and noticing things, I mean, that's a form of meditation. And I know for me, when I was starting out, I was just so anxious. So I had all the thoughts. Anytime I was quiet, all I could hear was all the noise in there. And it was just the last thing I wanted was to be quiet. And so guided meditation was very helpful for me, because it gave my brain something to focus on, which then allowed my system to go, okay.
Yeah. And you make such a good point there, because I think a lot of us have very noisy heads.
Yeah.
And, those are all the thoughts and the things that we hear from everybody else that just go round and round and round our head. And they are not helping our nervous system.
No,
they're really not. So maybe by keeping them occupied, by giving them something to do, like listening to the meditation, is really good. But also just know that it's not you that can't do it. You're certainly not alone. And with practice, you will, and consistent practice, you will find that you are able to do it a bit more each time, I think. Especially if you find something that's working for you, which helps you keep at it, even though it's difficult, if that, you know. So this is where trying lots of different things comes in. And you don't have to do them for hours at an end, you know, either. Just the being kind to yourself. And I will often have one hand on my heart, one hand on my belly, and I'll just do a couple of breaths and just go, you know, we're doing all right. We're all right.
Yeah.
We're safe. Yeah. And sometimes that's all it takes for me to just come out of my head and just go, oh, it's okay. Whatever's swirling around in my head, it's like, actually, it's okay.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. So that nothing that we're talking about, none of these things we're talking about have to be big, long-winded, take up loads of time either. Where can you find little snippets of time to do some of these things that are going to help you?
Yes. And I want to reiterate again, if you're trying something and it doesn't feel like it's working for you, just let it go then.
Exactly.
Just let it go for now. Just the goal, because the goal is it's navigate and find the thing that's easy right now. You don't need to find something hard for yourself. What is easy? And if like, well, that's not it. That's not it. Oh, here, I can do this. This is helping a little bit. Great.
Exactly. Because most of us have had loads of hard things to do in our lives. We certainly are not saying at all add anything else to that. Just add something if it's useful.
Absolutely.
And helps.
Yeah. I thought of one other thing for nervous system regulation that really helped me was tapping. And tapping is one of those things, like I did it 20 years ago and I thought, I don't get it. Like, it's not helping me. I don't get it. And then I came back to it again a few years ago when I was going through my migraine stuff, and it was suddenly like, oh, this is really helping me. So again, like, just listen to what your system needs. I bring up tapping because there's YouTube videos, there's apps. It's something you can't, like, I can do I don't know, a less than a minute tap that helps me feel better. And so it can be something that is accessible, you know, and they help folks, you know, with PTSD kind of calm their nervous system down. And so, but if you're doing it and you're like, this isn't for me, that's okay. Find something else. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've not done much tapping. But what I do like about tapping is not the words that you're saying. I like the actual tapping. So I could actually just do the tapping, because what that's doing is it's making me feel the sensations in my body.
Nice.
So in a way, tapping helps me get into my body, and I don't even have. And you know, I know the whole point of tapping is you're supposed to say things as you tap. I get that, but equally, just experiencing the body sensation that comes with the tapping is really good for me. And why
that's a great example. That's a great example of what we're talking about. You're like, well, I know we're supposed to be talking, but what I really like, it's like, great, then do the thing that you're really responding to. Yes.
Exactly. That's also making me think about, is it havening, where you stroke your, like, where you can, it's literally, you know, you put your arm, cross your arms and hold your, you know, shoulders, and you'll just sort of stroke like your arms.
Stroke yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, I've done that. I didn't know how to name.
You sort of give yourself a hug.
Yeah.
Really, cross your arms, and then you just slowly, you know, bring your arms down, you know, down the other arm. And I think there is a technique called havening, and it might be something to do with that. I hope I've not meant to be reductive if it's more than that at all. But just, you see that, because, you know, that's just another bodily sensation, isn't it? You know, getting in touch with your body and feeling it. And all this is doing, all these things, like for me, the tapping, even without the saying, the you know, giving yourself a hug and then stroking your arms, is all helping you get into your body and out of your head. And another one that you can do that is really easy as long as you can keep your mouth shut, it's easy, so you're not having to talk, is to run your tongue, certainly if you're feeling quite panicky, to run your tongue across the roof of your mouth and back slowly. I mean, it can tickle sometimes, but it again, that's bringing you into your body and out of what you're thinking about. And I find that's quite useful.
Yeah. One of the exercises Katie gave me, one of the somatic exercises I do, is running my tongue along the inside of my lips, kind of in a circle around.
We're both doing it. If you're not, for those of you on YouTube, you can see us doing it, but not on them. But yeah, we're running. Yeah. Yeah, because it's very well, you have to concentrate while you're doing it, I think, so you feel it.
Yes.
Which is all very subtle ways of getting you out of your head and into your body.
Absolutely.
She's just brilliant, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't tickle as much as when you do your tongue on the roof of your mouth as well. But it's
although the tongue on the roof of your mouth is, like if you're with a room of people and you don't want people to know you're doing something with your tongue, that's a great one, right?
Yeah.
Because,
And another thing that I found very helpful, I don't need it quite so often now, but I trained in, one of the things that I trained in was NLP and timeline therapy. And then I'm saying that, and I'm not quite sure where this fits in, but I should have thought about that before I opened my mouth. But anyway, there you go. But I created for myself what's an anchor. So choosing, a place on your, so I have, so the joint where my little finger hits joins into my hand, I will squeeze that gently if I need to feel calm, because I have anchored to that point. When I press that, I am instantly taken back to lying back in a lovely warm bubble bath. And I just instantly feel calm. And I use that. I used to use that quite a lot. I don't need to use it quite so often now. But that, again, is taking me into the sensation of my body. I know, and it's bringing up a visualization, yes, but it's very much the sensation in my body and how do I feel about that.
I love that. That's awesome.
It's really handy. I use it a lot if I'm getting a bit worried. Like, if you go, when you're with a lot of people and you have to go around in a circle and sort of say something about yourself, I always freeze in those situations, always.
Same.
And I wait for it coming and I go, oh, right. And it's coming. And I'm just like, going, and I'm practicing in my head what I'm going to say. And then when it gets to me, I go, so I find that helps, at least using that idea with that joint on my hand and squeezing that just helps me not get quite so panicky. It doesn't stop it altogether, but it helps me try and keep it together a bit more.
Yeah. That what you were talking about, just like, yep, been there. I mean, and then I don't know what any of the other people have said. I can't remember anybody's names because all I can think of is, oh my gosh, it's going to be my turn. What am I going to say? And then you'd think after all that rehearsing, when it's your time, you'd say it smoothly. And that was never my experience. I'd stumble all over myself and then spend the rest of the circle going, well, you made an idiot out of yourself. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. The worst ones I remember the worst one I've had to do was, and tell us something that nobody else in the room will know about you. I'm like, what? And this is in people I already know. It's like, what? So I was
thank you.
Well, it was, and everyone was coming up with like, oh, I, did grade 9 on the piano or something. And I'm like, oh God, what am I going to say?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Those are hard.
Yeah, they are hard. They are hard. We've digressed slightly.
We have. That's okay.
So we came with the intention of helping our listeners meet themselves where they're at on their healing journeys.
Yes.
And hopefully we have encouraged you to do that and to give you some ideas of little things that you can start doing to start yourself on your healing journey, if that is what you are being drawn to do. We're not telling you have to. We're not telling anybody they have to be on a healing journey. But I'm guessing if you're here listening to, these healing episodes, you are a little bit interested. And if you feel like you might benefit from doing something. We've given you some ideas to start with now. And these are really the things that we started with right at the beginning, and we've progressed on to all sorts of other things, and we've tried all sorts of modalities, as we have spoken about in the episodes that we've done together so far, and no doubt we've got more to come, as in more things to talk about, because we've tried all sorts.
And still trying things.
I'm still trying.
You know? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what my next thing's going to be, but
well, you'll know when it comes, though.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And because you don't go looking for them. It's just
they just come.
They just appear, don't they, at the right time? At the right time. Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to add? I mean, we could go on for. I mean, I just wanted it to start basic. That was our aim, wasn't it? And I feel like we've done that. I've not really got anything that's lingering for me that I'll probably, the minute we start recording, I'll think, oh, I wish I'd said that. But
sure. Well, that's almost always the case for me. But I just hope people feel encouraged that wherever they are, that's okay, right?
Yes, it is. And you can start as soon as you want, if you want to. Or add some of the things that we've talked about to things you're already doing. I mean, you know, I mentioned yoga. We didn't talk about it as a start to a healing modality. But if you know you do yoga and you are intentionally breathing and feeling how your body feels, as opposed to just doing the poses for the sake of doing the poses, then you know you're already getting more and more in your body. And actually, that's the key to all of these things that we've talked about. They're all helping you get more in your body. Even the connecting in nature is helping you understand, see, and be part of something bigger than you, which hopefully helps you get out of your head and into what you are experiencing in your body, because that's where all the wisdom is, not in our heads.
Our poor brain, it thinks that it knows everything, and it doesn't.
It doesn't, because the brain gets the messages from the body. The body's where it's at.
Yep.
So let's everyone get in our bodies and understand what we feel. And
yes, please.
You know, anyway.
And be kind to ourselves.
Be exactly where we started. Be kind to ourselves. Kindness, compassion, patience.
Yes.
Patience as well, because it's not quick fix. If there was
I'm glad you brought that up. Yes.
Yeah, because if there was a quick fix, there would be lots of people shouting about it.
Already.
Yeah. And anybody who promises you a quick fix, well, yeah. I personally don't think there is a quick fix, and I think you have to put the work in.
Yeah, there's steps. They're building blocks. It's one step in front of the other.
And gently, but it's over time. Because really, if you think about it, we're trying to calm our nervous system down, and we're trying to get into our bodies. And to do that quickly is another way of shocking ourselves and another way of traumatizing ourselves.
It's exactly right. Yes. I don't mean to laugh, but yeah, just the image of we're trying to do something really fast to calm our system down. Yes. I mean, it goes against what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Okay. I think we probably better stop here.
We should stop. Yeah.
We should stop. As you can tell, we've got lots to say, but we will stop here. Hope this has been useful. Meet yourself where you are. Be kind. Be patient, and give something a go if you feel drawn to.
Absolutely. All right, so that's it for today. We're calling it.
Okay.
Remember, there is great strength in your sensitivity,
and the world needs you to be who you are.
Yes.
So it's bye from me right now,
and bye from me. Thanks for listening to HSP Connection. If you've enjoyed listening, we'd love you to hit the follow or subscribe button, as this helps other people find us. And it also means you won't miss an episode.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you could rate the podcast and share it with anyone you think might be interested. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, you can also leave us a review.
To get in touch with us, you can email us at hspconnectionpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you with your thoughts and comments on the episodes, as well as suggestions for future topics and guests.
We are both HSP coaches and speakers. And to find out more about Robbie, go to RobbieLeigh, LEIGH.com.
And to find out more about Philippa, go to boldhsp.com. See you next time.